Welcome back to Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. Tonight we're going to have a special guest speaker on, you guys. Nina is coming to tell her experience, strength, and hope. Let me get all this stuff going. I'm going to stay in here in the bathroom because, well, I'm comfortable at the seat. So y'all come on in and I'm going to get Nina over here on the live with us. So hold on just a second. Let me get comfortable first, Nina. I see you over there trying to come in. Let me get comfortable. Let me get everybody in here ready to see you. We want to get everybody in here. Okay. Let's do this. Boom, chaka, laka, laka, laka. Oh God, I gotta find her. There we go. Here we are, you guys. Hey, girl.
Hello. I'm trying to rock him, but I have to take the phone back and forth with me, so it's not working out so well.
That's okay. We don't mind. How old is your baby?
2 months.
Boy or girl?
Boy.
I love boys. Do you have any other kids?
Yes, I have 4 other boys.
Boys too?
I had 5 boys in 6 years.
Girl, you got a whole basketball team.
My necklace has all of their names on it.
That's so awesome. Okay, well, enough about the kids. We want to know about you. So this is what I want you to do, okay? Introduce yourself to everybody. Let us know your name, how long you've been sober, and what your drug of choice was. And then what you need to do is start out and share with us what it was like when you were a kid growing up. That way we can kind of have an idea of just like, what your life was like. And then transition us into the first time you used, who it was with, why you did it, and then share a little bit with us about what it was like when you were in active addiction, and then what your life is like now. And if I have any questions, I'll just ask you. You know how that goes. Okay?
Sounds good. Okay. My name is Nina Halleck, also known as Anna King. My mom gave me the nickname Nina when I was a newborn. She named me after my grandma. She didn't like the name, so I got the nickname. I always go by Nina. I don't go by Anna unless it's like doctors or something like that. What was the rest of it?
Oh, okay. So, what was your drug of choice, and how long have you been sober?
I have been sober a little over a year. I don't know the exact number. It was June 8th, 2020. So, about 13 months almost. My drug of choice was pain pills in the beginning. And then when I lived in Michigan for a few months, I was on a lot of stuff. Like, I have no memory of really even being there. Back in 2019, I got messages from my brother-in-law's brother. He kept trying to apologize to me, and I kept telling him, like, why do you keep trying to apologize to me? Like, I don't understand. And it was because I had no memory of what was going on to me then. And he went through and he explained everything to me, like, they kept me so doped up on so many drugs that I don't remember anything, and they'd shot me up with heroin and killed me in the back seat of a car. They brought me back, and then they all were like sexually abusing me, and I didn't know that I got pregnant and had a miscarriage. They dropped me off at the hospital, and I ended up like staying there for a while, and no one picked me up when I got discharged. I had no memory of any of that, and like I still don't. I have zero memory of it.
Did somebody kidnap you?
No, so my mom walked out on me and my sisters when I was 15. So I went and lived with my oldest sister and her husband for a little while, but he was the one that initially started all of the sexual abuse and drugging me and then blackmailing me, like if I didn't do something with him, that he would tell my sister that I was coming on to him, and then just stripping down naked in front of him and trying to like have sex with him just to make her mad and want to fight with me and then kick me out, and me being 15 not having anywhere to live. So like I would do the things, like I would be sexual with him because I didn't want to be kicked out. And then I finally, after about a year of it, I got tired of it, and I was like, I don't even care anymore. Like, I would rather be homeless than continue to deal with this. And I had a message. He said that I was on crack, coke, heroin, Lyrica, and a few other things. Like, it was just ridiculous. But I do remember, like, the whole time I was there, I lost like 8 months of my life. I have zero memory of it. Like, I don't understand how I don't remember it. Like, I don't know if it was so traumatized
that I just blocked it out on purpose to protect you.
That's what I think happened, because even like stuff with my mom and when I was younger, I can't remember anything under the age of 9. Like,
why did your mom leave? Like, what happened for that to happen?
So after we moved to Kentucky, we ended up moving into the apartments, Dempsey, there in Kentucky, and around that time is when I noticed my mom started doing drugs. Like, at first I thought it was just smoking weed, and I was like, I don't really care about that. Like, no biggie, whatever. If that's all she's doing, then I don't care, because everyone else around us, like all the parents around us in the complex, like they all had like scars on their arms, and they were walking up in the school like that with their kids, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad my mom don't do that.
Yeah.
And then I started noticing that my mom was just getting like not herself anymore. Her mood swings were really bad. She wasn't taking any of her medication for the bipolar or the depression or anything like that. She got back with Henry, who was like very abusive to her. And then after they split up for the final time, she just started like being a little hoochie again. And we went across the apartment complex to the other one, and Michelle and Lee, and they gave her like 4, I was sitting right next to her, like they didn't even hide it. Like, I think it was Michelle handed my mom 4 Somas. My mom popped them all, took a drink of her coffee, and it wasn't long before we were sitting there. My mom was holding her coffee, and then all of a sudden it was like shaking like this. I was like, oh my gosh, what is the matter with you? Put your cup down. I was so embarrassed, and I looked at Lee and Michelle and said, I'm taking my mom home. She needs to go to bed. Like, I don't understand what's going on. And they said, well, Lucy, how many did you take? And she said, I took all of them. They said, you're only supposed to take 1. I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Yes, like they call them Soma cones. Soma cones. There was one time when my mom was with Henry, and they were downstairs in the living room, and me and my sisters were upstairs. And I kept hearing them fighting stuff, and then later on it like settled down and it got quiet, and I went downstairs to get something to eat, and I wanted to check on my mom and see how she was doing, because at that point in time she had already been like doing other stuff that made me very worrisome about her.
Yeah.
And I walked in there, and Henry was butt fucking naked, standing in front of my mom. My mom was butt naked, slouched over on the couch, foaming out the mouth. And he was doing absolutely nothing, like absolutely nothing about it. And I was like trying to run to her and help her, and he's like, leave her alone, she's fine. I'm like, no, she's not, she's foaming out the mouth.
Yeah.
Like, you need to do something. Like, it was scary. I didn't realize, like, as an adult, like how much all that stuff like traumatized me and caused issues in my adult life now that I'm in therapy and I talk about things. They're starting to come out, and I'm starting to understand more, like why I done this, or why I thought that, or why I felt a certain way about something. But
So okay, so basically, your childhood was your mom was using drugs when you were a kid.
Yes. So when my mom like abandoned me and my sister, she was with a different guy at this time. His nickname was Cat Paw. And she drove up to my grandparents' house where we were staying because we had lost our trailer. And we had only been there for a little while, and my mom pulled up there one day with Cat Paw, walked inside. She said, "You girls be good, you sit right here, I'll be right back very shortly, maybe a few hours, and I'll be back." She got in that little red S10 two-door truck, and I think it was a four. Is that what they're called, the S10, the little short ones that's only got two doors?
Yeah.
Yeah, she got in that little thing, and her and Cat Paw backed out of the driveway, took off, and I never seen her again. It was like a week later, like there was no food in the house. The electric and the water was already shut off. Like everyone had already moved out of there as well. Like my grandparents have already moved out. And about the 5th day, I knocked on the neighbor's door and asked him if I could use the phone. And the lady was like, "I was wondering, like, what was going on over there." She said, "I thought I seen you guys there, but I couldn't tell." And still to this day, I don't understand why she wouldn't go check. Like, if you think you see two, like, children there alone for many, many days, why would you not go check and make sure they're okay?
Right.
But she let me use her phone, and I called my youngest sister's dad, and he came and picked us up, and that's when we moved back to Ohio. We lived in Centerburg then, and a lot happened there. My arm is getting so tired.
So tell us, you can put the phone down, like if you have like a dresser, and like prop it up against something, and then stand up and maybe like bounce the baby. You know what I mean?
I can try this. I don't have pants on.
Or you could put it like in a cabinet, you know, and maybe that would be easier.
This might work right here. Let me turn it up a little bit. Yeah, all right.
There you go. And all we can see is your top, so you're fine. Okay, so tell us. So you guys, Mom leaves, and y'all go back. You go to Ohio. Now, what happens in Ohio?
What was what?
Your mom leaves. Y'all go to Ohio. What happens in Ohio?
Okay. I was about 16 going on 17 then, and we were living in Centerburg at the time, and it was Calvin, Peggy, Angelo, Chris and Perry, me and Serena all living in a 2-bedroom teeny tiny little house. And like Chris and Perry did whatever they wanted. Like Peggy and Calvin, they didn't care. They let them do whatever. Me and Serena barely ever went to school. It was always a party. Like every day was a party. Every damn day. And it was always the kids that had the parties, and then the adults just joined. Let me grab his passy real quick.
Yeah, take your time, girl. So Ariel, she was 15 when her mom left and never came back. And so now she's telling us what happened when she moved to another state with her other side of her family.
Take it. Okay, so after that, I ended up dropping out of school until we moved to Mount Vernon, which is like 25 minutes, I think, like Centerburg to Mount Vernon. Honey, what is the deal? Let me grab his bottle. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine, girl. Don't even worry. We understand. Oh, you're fine, Ariel. So when she was a kid, her mom was fine at the beginning, but then she got on drugs and kind of just went off the deep end and left her and her sisters behind in a trailer with no running water or anything.
Got it? Is it bitters? So after we moved, things were not so great in Centerburg. Like every day was a party, and I couldn't focus on school, so I got to the point where I told Serena's dad. I never did call him dad, although he raised me. I never did call him dad. But honey, what is the matters? Huh? What's the matters? You're just mad. Do you want the baba? Okay, we'll take it. So I started drinking with them. Like, I was like, screw it. I quit going to school and I started drinking with them every day and with my cousins. Nothing happened to me there except for Serena's dad, like towards the end before we moved to Mount Vernon. Like, we were laying on the pull-out couch bed and I was almost asleep and Angelo was laying next to me and he rolled over and he put his hand on my stomach and it woke me up. I was like, and I laid there real still, like, what the fuck? And then he slowly, like, started to put his hand in my pants, and I pulled his arm away. I said, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I don't think so, dude. That shit ain't happening here. And I, like, got really upset, and I stopped talking to him for a while. I didn't talk to nobody except for Chris, and he's my cousin. We're the same age. And I, like, ran out into the field, and he followed me, and he asked me, he's like, what's wrong? And I told him, and I said, please don't tell nobody. I said, because, you know, past experience with my brother-in-law, like, drugging me and raping me and shit like that, like, no one's ever believed me. Like, I tried to tell my sister, and she's like, I don't believe you. I believe it's you, like, trying to get with him, or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? No. Like, how do you not know your husband by now? Like, he has admitted to my sister that he raped me. He raped my younger sister. He drugged one of my older sisters and had sex with her. Like, they had sex with each other for drugs. Like, that's back when Chrissy was really, really bad on heroin, shooting it up and stuff. Like, people are not themselves. They do things they would not normally do. And then he ended up having sex with my mom several times. And to this day, she is still with him. Tell me, why in the fuck are you with somebody that has admitted to you that doing all that nasty shit to your siblings and your mother? Like, that's just not cool. After we moved to Mount Vernon, by then I was drinking every day. Like, it was just an everyday thing. Everyone was drinking. No one, I don't think anybody was really working at that point. We lived on Sandusky, and then later on we ended up, like, splitting up, and me and my cousin Chris's girlfriend got in a fight. My Aunt Peggy was like an instigator. Like, I had never met the girl, didn't know who she was. I only knew her name, and I knew that her and Chris had just been dating for like maybe 2 days. And Peggy instigated a fight and told that girl that I was talking about her and running her mouth and saying shit that wasn't true. And one day I was in the kitchen cooking my niece, you know, the raviolis that come in the foam cup that you gotta put the plastic on and let them cook? Yeah. I just poured boiling hot water in those, and I turned around and I told Sophia, I was like, you know, just give them a few minutes, they're gonna cook. By the time I turned back around to look at the noodles, that bitch had already picked them up, threw them in my face, down my chest. I had second-degree burns on my chest, and somehow some of them got in the back of my shirt, and I still have like a scar where it done that. And like before that, we had like tussled a little bit too, and then I thought it was done, and then she came back and done that, and I was like, what the fuck, man? I remember ripping her shirt right here and her tit popping out. And I was like, get this. She was sitting on me like somehow, like I had went down to the ground, my legs were crossed Indian style, and I was laid over them like I could not get up. And I didn't know what the fuck to do but to reach back and pull. So she finally got up off me. And then at one point I was going to hit her in the head with the fucking pan, and that's when Chris broke the fight up. And he's like, you can't do that. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't even know why we're fighting, but why would you take her side over mine? Like, we're family. Yeah. You've been dating her for 2 days. What the fuck? My family is the most screwed up family I have ever known in my life. Like, that's one thing that's always made me so jealous of other people. Like, if I see people that have like a good relationship with their mom or their dad, or hell, if they even know their mom and dad, like I still struggle with being jealous of that, because all my life, that's all I ever wanted. I wanted a good relationship with my mom, and I wanted a good relationship with my dad. I so badly wanted to be like a daddy's girl, but he didn't care. Yeah.
So, how did you, so when did you go on to like using opiates? How did opiates come into your story?
1 second, I can't hear
Take your
you.
time. You're fine.
What'd you say now?
How did you get into abusing opiates?
When did I start?
Right.
When I was living with my sister and her husband, that was their drug of choice, and he started like slipping them in my drinks, like crushing them up and putting them in my drinks. And sometimes I would like drink and party with him, like drink alcohol and stuff, and he would put them in there. And then sometimes he would like crush lines up, and he'd be like, "Want to do a line with me?" I was like, "No, not really. I'm not into pills, you know." Oh my goodness, what is the matter with you tonight? What is the matter tonight? Like, you don't act like this. What is the matter? Huh? What's the matter? I think it's because I'm talking. He's just like, normally he's asleep.
Maybe he's feeling you talking about this, and he knows that it's hard for you to talk about, so he feels your emotions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, normally he just lays in my arms and goes to sleep. Like, the other day, somebody's like, "You're like the baby whisperer," because he was just being so good, and he just went to sleep so easy. But now he's just like, not having it. The doctor put me on new medicine today. After I quit taking Kratom, and I went to the Suboxone clinic, like my second week into it, my body started hurting like so bad. Like, when I would wake up, it was really bad in the morning. I would wake up and I would feel so stiff, just like, I couldn't walk. Like, I had pain shooting from my feet to my knees and then into my back, and then sometimes it would shoot into my stomach. Like, it was terrible. And then the third week being on Suboxone, it was even worse. So finally, I got into a doctor today, and they put me on gabapentin, and it helps a little bit, but I feel like she probably either needs to up the dose or up the milligram. Probably up the milligram would just be better.
Are you
like
pooping?
I used to. Do I poop?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Yeah.
You poop regularly.
Like, yeah. Well, what helps? I stay very hydrated, and I eat a lot of yogurt. But lately, I've been on a watermelon diet, so I've been eating like 2 to 3 watermelons in one day. And let me tell you something, it'll make you go, and your farts smell terrible.
I'm trying to figure out why you're having those that soreness all over your body after getting on Suboxone.
I don't know, but it's like Suboxone does not help my pain at all. Like, when I was on Kratom, I never had pain. Very rarely did I ever have any pain.
What
and
kind
that's
of
what I
pain
took.
is it? Is it like muscle pain, nerve pain?
I have really no idea. It's just like deep into my, like, deep in my muscles, I guess. Like, deep in the muscle, like almost on the bone or something. It could be both, like the nerves and deep in the muscle, because it's different types of feelings. Like, sometime during the day it'll feel a certain way, and then another time through the day it'll feel different. And then sometimes I'll have pains that just shoot down my legs and my knees, like my kneecaps. It feels like the bones are just rubbing together. And I don't know if it's just like from all the weight that I've gained. And typically after I have my kids, like, I'll drop my weight fast. But this time I'm not. I just keep gaining weight. Like, I've gained another 20 pounds. I'm up to 171 pounds. I'm normally not bigger than 115. So my knees are not having it.
Well, that's kind of normal. Once you get a little older, it gets harder to get the weight off. You know?
Yeah, it does.
How old are you?
28.
Yeah. You're getting close to your 30s. That's what it is. And also, Suboxone can kind of make you retain water, so that's also something that could be adding to the reason why you're gaining weight. And then you're sober now, so you're not running around, you know?
I eat a lot more too. The doctor did put me on a water pill today. She only gave me 3 to give it, I guess, like a trial for first 3 days. I took one this morning after I got my prescription. I've peed twice, or 2 times. That's it. Like, it's not making me pee. Like, I have no urge to pee. Like, and I've been chugging bottles of water, a few cups of coffee. Like, I don't understand.
When you got sober, how did you get sober? Did you get sober using Kratom? Is that how?
Yeah. I had to leave the city or the state, whichever one. Like, I had to go to a different city where I did not know anybody. I couldn't get a hold of anything. I deleted everybody's number, and now that everybody's got cell phones, we don't remember phone numbers. We just put them in there, and that's it.
Yeah.
So when I deleted them, I knew, like, that was it. I had no way of contacting them, and most of them didn't have Facebook, so I couldn't just, like, search them up and be like, hey, yo, can I get this or can I get that? Like, it just... Most of my stuff I got, though, when I first got, like, real heavy on pain pills, my ex-husband, well, soon-to-be ex-husband, he gave them to me after I'd hurt my back. Like, he was giving them to me, and then his mom was giving them to me, and they both were like, don't tell my mom, and he was like, don't tell BJ, like, you know, he'll get really mad at me, and then gonna be fighting and treat me like crap, and I'm like, I ain't gonna tell him, just give me the damn pills, woman. And then my used-to-be best friend, like, she used to be, like, a really good friend of mine, so I thought. She used to give me pills all the time, too. Like, I would go over there and clean her house, and instead of paying me in cash, she would, like, she didn't know, like, she was very, what do you call it? Illiterate? No, like, she was very ignorant to, like, how much pills were and people abusing them. At that time, she didn't know any of that. Like, she didn't really take them or nothing like that. So she would pay me in pills, which would come out to be like 3 times the amount that it would have been if it was cash. And I was just like, yeah, girl, clean your house any day you want. Any day, however. This is great. I had the damn hookup.
Active addiction, we would take, I was the same way, girl. You could pay me with pills, you could pay me with dope, you could pay me with anything. I didn't care, just as long as I could get, it was drugs or I could get drugs with it. Okay, tell us how you used Kratom to get sober. I'm sure a lot of people would want to hear about that. So tell us about that.
Okay, so me and my ex-husband went down to Alabama to visit his niece. And they were, her and her husband were really bad on pain pills too, and they introduced BJ into Kratom. But at the time, they were the liquid shots. And they were like $6.99 a bottle. And we would shake them up real good. They taste like shit. Like, they will make you puke your ass off. And you just gotta, like, hurry up and drink something to wash it down. But we would drink those, and it would feel like you took, like, a couple, like, fucking 30s or something. Like, you would just be buzzing like a motherfucker. Like, woohoo! And it was so cheap, and the high would last, like, 3 times as long as the damn pain pill would. And it was just awesome. I was like, fuck yeah, man. Legal shit right at the...
Is that what made you go to Kratom instead? Was it cheaper?
Fuck yeah, it was cheaper. Sorry, that alarm just went off. Oh yeah, like, I would get a little container like this big around, about that deep, 240 grams for about $35, and just 1 scoop of that shit, and you'd be high all fucking day. And that thing will last you.
Why did you stop taking it then, if it was helping you?
Because I am unemployed and can't afford it.
And tell me this, I want you to be honest with me, Nina. You was getting addicted to it, wasn't you?
I was very addicted to it. Like, my body was very dependent on it. If I didn't have it, I went into withdrawals. That's why I went and got put on Suboxone, because I was like, I'm not going through the withdrawals. Because them withdrawals are, oh man, they're so bad. They are so...
Because you had an addiction, you have the disease of addiction, it was hard for you to regulate your intake of Kratom. Did you find yourself taking more and more and more to get the desired effect? And that's why I worry about people and I try to share that side of things, because I'm not against Kratom. I know it works. I know it helps people. But for people like you and me who are we are addicts to the extreme, and we just take more and more and more and more. And when you have somebody like us who we haven't, like you were early in your recovery when you got on Kratom, you were unable to have self-control because you were early in recovery. And so that's why people get so mad at me when I say you can get addicted to Kratom, be careful. But it's not because I don't want you guys to try it or I don't want you to be on it. It's just I want you to be aware that if you are an addict like we are, you can find yourself overdoing it.
Oh yeah, very easily, because that first initial feeling it gives you the first time you try it, you chase it because it feels so fucking good. Like you're numb, your body's warm and relaxed, and you feel so good. Like Kratom is from an opiate plant, and it's probably the same thing as heroin, honestly. Like it is equivalent to that. And I've heard other people that's done heroin and Kratom say that the Kratom withdrawals is almost identical to heroin withdrawals. Like, okay, I was taking 240 grams in 2 to 3 days. That's a lot. Like when
I'm so glad that you're sharing this, because I have gotten so much hate on TikTok for sharing about Kratom and my friends who take 90 grams a day. And people were so mad at me for saying it. And I'm like, why am I getting so much hate? I literally have people trying to come into treatment to see Dr. B who are doing exactly what you were doing. And I want everybody in this chat to hear this. She was taking Kratom. She was taking over 100 grams a day, and she had to go get on Suboxone because she couldn't afford to keep going through withdrawal, and that's what eventually happened.
Yes, it does. There's another girl that's always posting about Kratom, and I don't know her name, but she always wears her hair up in a bun right here.
Yeah.
And she has glasses. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
She's all the time posting about like Kratom and stuff, but I haven't seen her lately, so she probably blocked me, because she would always post on there and have like such an attitude when she's talking and swinging her head and like, Kratom is not addictive, you can't get addicted to it, and blah blah blah. Keep in mind, she had just started on Kratom. Like, I think she said she'd been on it for a couple of months. Honey, I was on it, I went back and counted. Isaiah is about to be 4, and I was on it shortly after he was born. So I was on that stuff for 4 years. No, he's about to be 5. I was on that stuff for 4.5 years. You can get addicted to it. And if you have an addictive personality, you will chase that high. And you will continue to take more and more and more. It will be really hard to regulate your dose and keep it at a certain amount. Like I tried to do like 1 spoon 3 times a day. 1 in the morning, 1 after lunch, 1 after dinner. And then I started getting so bad on it to where I was taking 2 scoops in the morning, 2 scoops at lunch, and like 2.5 scoops before I went to bed, because it would help me sleep so good. That's something I miss. Like since I've been on Suboxone, I've been having crazy nightmares, like crazy nightmares. Like every day or every night I have like nightmares that somebody's trying to beat my ass and I'm like running like a motherfucker trying to get away from them. Honey, come on. What's the matters?
Aww.
I'm okay.
Listen, I am so glad that you came on tonight, and I just want to ask you one more question. Now that you're on Suboxone and you're stable on a dose of Suboxone, how are you feeling? What are you doing every day that helps you stay sober and helps you stay in your recovery?
Fighting for my kids. Like I tell myself, and I also, another thing that keeps me from relapsing is I tell myself, if I was to relapse, it's going to be the one that kills me. And the way that I was, I know for a fact it's going to kill me. And I don't want to die. I'm not ready to die. And I don't want my kids to not have their mom. Like, I want my kids back in my home. Yeah. I want to be happy and healthy and see my kids be adults and have their own kids. And I want to be there for that. I don't want to die. No. And lately, like, after I had him, I've had a lot of problems with my heart. Like, yesterday, I was in the hospital because my heart rate was 121. I was tachycardic, and the other word she said was like diaphragmatic or something. I don't know what the hell. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. But they had me go over for another EKG and x-rays. They said everything came back normal, and they did some blood work and stuff, but like, even today, like, my heart has felt like it's racing a little bit, and I don't know what it is. Sometimes I get a little bit short of breath, but it's not anything, like, really noticeable. Unless I'm, like, really focusing on it, I don't notice it.
Oh, baby, I'm so sorry. Okay, one of the people in the chat wants to know, what side effects did you have from using Kratom? Did you have any negative side effects?
Constipation really bad. Because it's a powder, it will sit in your stomach or your bowels, wherever it goes, and it just builds up. Especially if you're like me and you just take copious amounts. Like, I would take big-ass spoons like this. Heaping-ass spoons, like, almost so big to where I couldn't swallow it because I had too fucking much on my spoon. But I wanted to get as much as I could. I was like, I want that high. Like, every day. As soon as I woke up, that's the first thing I did. Made a cup of coffee, grabbed my Kratom, scoop, swallow, made my coffee, drank it, and then did the rest of my routine. But with Kratom, the only side effect I had was constipation. Eat a lot of fruit, and every now and then you're going to have to take, like, something for constipation to help wash your poo out.
And for everybody in the chat, like, we are not, I have nothing against Kratom, and neither does Nina, but what she's doing is she's sharing, like, her true experience about how she found herself overtaking it. And so that's the only thing I ever want to do with you guys, is I want people to share the truth. Now, I want you to share the truth about how is Suboxone affecting you. Now, I know that you said since you've gone on it, you don't feel right. So share with us about that.
Since I've been on it, I think it's when I first, like, the first week, I took it like I was supposed to. Actually, no, I didn't. The first day that I got it, I took one, and it took a few hours to, like, start working. And after I made a video about, like, being put on Suboxone and asking how long it takes to start working, like, I started to feel it shortly after that. And then I was like, oh, wow, this feels good. Took another one. And I was like, I'm already abusing this. My second week, I abused it. She bumped me up from 1 to, I think, 1.5. And then 2 days later, it was to 2 a day. My second week, I really abused them. Like, I took 3 a day. And then I called her because I was out of them before my next appointment. And I called her and I told her, it's like, my head feels funny. I feel weird. Like, I don't know if, like, I'm already withdrawing from them because I took so many. Like I was enjoying the feeling. I was like, man, this feels good. I like it. Woohoo! Like, it almost felt like not heroin, but Kratom and pain pills again. But now, I'm taking them how I'm supposed to. I think this is like my 3rd or 4th week now.
Good.
I am taking them like I'm supposed to. Like, I will take my 1 in the morning, and now that I'm on gabapentin, I think it will help. Like, what makes me abuse it is if I can't feel it working longer than I feel like it should. Like, if I start feeling like aches and pains or something that I feel like that drug is supposed to be helping me with, something in my brain tells me, oh, well, just take more and it'll get better. No, it's not always take more, it gets better. It's, you have to work on those things. Like, you can't just pop a pill and everything be fine.
And now that you've been on Suboxone for 3 weeks, you're not going to be feeling that feeling anymore. And it's not going to feel like it's working at all.
No, it already has faded. Like, I noticed that. That's why my second week I was taking more, because I already noticed that it was just gone. It was after that, like, first 2 doses, that feeling was pretty much gone.
Yep.
It wasn't anymore.
And
And I think that's because I was on kratom.
that's why Suboxone is used by doctors so much, because of the ceiling effect. So what has happened to you is you've reached the ceiling. You're not going to feel that high or that feel good feeling ever again from Suboxone. The only way
Nope.
you would ever feel that is if you stop taking it for about 4 or 5 days. That's the only way. So now you're balanced and you're at the ceiling. And so if you're still having pain and problems with your joints, you went to the doctor, you got the gabapentin, hopefully that'll help. But I want you to know that you might always have a little bit of pain. And so what you're going to have to do is learn how to cope with that pain without just taking extra stuff, you know? Because baby girl, you can start abusing those gabapentins too. And then the next thing you know, you'll be eating those all day long, you know?
That like minor pains I can deal with, but it was like this first week I wasn't really in any pain. The second week I started noticing it and I was real stiff and hurting. The third week it was so bad to where I was literally laying in my bed crying. I didn't know what was going on. I was seriously wanting kratom. I was like, I just want some kratom. Like, I can't take this pain no more. Like, I shouldn't be in so much pain. The gabapentin, today was my first day taking it. It helped a little bit. I actually was able to get some cleaning done, but like my legs and my feet now and my back is hurting so bad. So I don't know if it's just, I got to get used to it still. Like, I'm still early in being in, like, taking Suboxone and gabapentin. Like, my body obviously is going to be still withdrawing from some kratom because I was taking such high amounts. Like, I was taking a lot. So I'm not taking that much Suboxone or gabapentin. So I need to, like, work with my body and understand that it's going to be sore, it's going to hurt, you know. It'll get better eventually, like a couple of months into it, and I should be feeling better.
And then, like, you could do stuff like, I don't know if you're into this kind of stuff, but like yoga and stretches and different stuff to help your muscles and your back to be able to feel better, also on top of taking your medication. But, like, what's going to happen is you don't want to keep chasing that pain-free life. You might not ever have pain-free life, but you can get your pain to a manageable point where you'll be okay with exercise, diet, and your medication. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But listen to me, girl. You have been through so much. Like, honestly, I am so proud of you for getting sober, because you had no chance from being a kid. When I hear y'all's stories and you tell me about your parents not being there, like, it makes me so grateful that I got sober for my son, because I don't want him to ever experience that. And that's how I would have been too.
Yep, I think that's the pattern. Like, I started noticing, like, after I started sobering up. Okay, let me tell you. At one point, I was living in a semi-truck with an ex-boyfriend of mine's dad. He was driving it, and he was taking me to West Virginia to my grandma's funeral. And then on my way back to Mississippi, Zach locked the doors and told me that I was not allowed there, and I couldn't get any of my stuff or any of my kids' stuff or nothing. And I was pregnant with his son. So his dad picked me back up, and he was doing meth. And although I was pregnant, I was so, like, devastated and hurt. Like, I just lost everything I owned for, like, the 6th time in my life as an adult. And I ended up shooting meth with him and getting high. And one point, I had Isaiah with me, and he was just a baby. Like, he was a year old. And I remember I'd woke up that morning, and I looked at him, and I was like, whose baby is this? And when I came to and I realized, like, that's my kid, I was like, you got to take me to my husband's house. Like, I was like, I can't do this. No. I didn't even know who my own kid was. No, I can't do this. I got to get cleaned. I can't do this no more. And he said, I am so sorry. I will take you there immediately. I am so sorry. And I was like, you know, it's not really your fault. I made the choice to do it. I mean, I really wish you wouldn't have, like, showed me or told me you had it when I was in such a fragile state, like knowing what his son just done to me, knowing that I literally was just on my way back from my grandma's funeral and how close me and her were. Like, it wasn't the right time to be like, I got some of this if you want some.
Yeah.
Especially people being addicts, no. Like, when I was with Zach, I was doing really good with staying sober and clean because he didn't do drugs, he didn't drink, he didn't smoke cigarettes, he couldn't stand none of that shit. So I was like, this is awesome. Like, I've always dated people that didn't do drugs.
Yeah.
Because I always wanted to be clean, and I tried so hard. And I always knew my best way of getting clean was to be with someone that can't stand it. Because I know me, I wouldn't be able to hide it from them. I would have no choice but to get clean. So that's what I would always do to help me get clean. But I ended up going back to the... Thank you. It's been a really, really hard time. Like, I've had so much happen to me that I don't understand how people can have so much happen to them in their life, and then I just don't understand it. Like, as much as that's happened to me, I sit and think about all the other people in this world and all the other things that I hear people have went through, and I'm just like, how are we even the slightest bit okay? Like, no wonder we done drugs.
Right.
No
That's what
wonder.
I'm saying. No wonder.
So much. Like, we have so much pain. Like, my problem, like, when I was 14, I started slitting my wrist. And I have bad scars all up and down from my wrist to my elbow. And I had to have stitches once where I had slit it so deep you could see down in there all the, like, veins and the bone. And the doctor asked me, he's like, how'd this happen? And my sister told him, oh, well, she fell and slipped on a nail on the porch and it cut it open. He said, yeah, well, it looks like a pretty smooth cut for a nail. But I wasn't about to admit slitting my wrist because I didn't want to go to a psych ward. Although, you know, I was attempting suicide. I didn't want to be in a psych ward. Like, I was just like, at that point, that was around the time that my sister's husband started, like, getting me drunk and, like, having sex with me, forcing me into having sex with him, and then putting his wang-a-dang in my mouth. Like, I ended up having an eating disorder that I still have because I can't stand meat touching my tongue. Like, I can't do it. Sausage? Hell no. I will never eat that shit. No,
Yeah.
It won't happen. Hot dogs? No. Nothing shaped like that at all. Like, I mostly stick to, like, fruits, vegetables, mashed potatoes, stuff like that does not have anywhere near the same texture because I will go like 2 or 3 weeks without eating if I eat something that triggers that.
Oh, wow. Girl, you're going to counseling now, right?
Yeah. I finally stuck to it. Like, I'd went a few other times. Like, when I lived in Mississippi, I started going. I was going 4 times a week for a few months, and then when I got with Zach, I quit because it was just too much gas money. And he was like, I don't know why you don't just quit. Like, we can't afford it. And stupid me, I was like, okay, and I quit going. I should not have quit going because that's my mental health. Like, no one's going to fight for you and your mental health more than you are.
Yeah.
Like, you have to do it. If you don't, then other they don't know what you need, like you know. Like, you know more than anybody what you need mentally to help you.
Right. Are you okay if I'm so happy you fell asleep. Are you okay if I upload this video on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, so I'm going to ask you one more question. If you could say one thing to somebody that's in the audience that's struggling with addiction, what would you say?
Find something that... My thing was, I had to put myself in my kids' shoes. Like, put yourself in someone's shoes that it kills you to let down and hurt. Like, I had to put myself in my kids' shoes and tell myself, do you want your kids to feel the way you felt after your mom did everything she done? And that's what helped me. I was like, there's no fucking way I'm doing that to my kids. Like, that hurt and that pain I'm still living with now as an adult. I will not do that to my kids. So find something you truly care about and that really hits your heart. It'll help you stay sober.
I agree. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Another thing is, know that, I think I've heard you say this too, Nicole, you do not have many, many, many relapses there. Your next one could be your last.
Yep.
And that is a fear I have. And right at the end, like my last relapse, I was shooting meth. Like I was shooting it in my chest, in my arms, in my ankles, like anywhere I could find a vein, I was doing it. And I remember my kids were like running down the hallway and I was in the bathroom, the door was open and I had the light on and I was up on the sink and I was trying to get one here in my chest. And I remember the kids like started walking into the bathroom and I pulled it down and I like tried to hide it and I was like, go play. And I sit and think about that now and I'm just like, how dare I? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
I've done the same thing though.
Stuff like that I can't forgive myself for. And like when I'm in therapy and stuff, they tell me, well, you have to forgive yourself in order to heal and move on. And I'm like, I don't feel like I deserve to forgive myself because I'm an adult and I knew better. I don't feel like I deserve it. Like I feel like I deserve to be punished for it for the rest of my life. Like not having my kids punishment, but just me not forgiving myself. It almost, to me, not forgiving myself kind of helps me not relapse anymore. Like I live with so much.
I'm the same way. I will never forgive myself, but I try to at least give myself grace because we were sick. You were sick when that was going on. That's not the person that you are today.
Right. Like I had so much guilt for everything. Like when I was trying to do my nails, he was asleep in the bed in his little crib and I was sitting there like almost started crying. I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Why am I painting my nails and not holding him? I should be holding him and rubbing his hair and talking to him. Like I have so much guilt that I don't understand. Like being sober, it sucks sometimes because you feel so much emotions and heartache and pain. It's really hard some days. It really is.
I agree.
Like especially not having any adults here to talk to, and like I don't have any of my other kids to help distract me. I don't have, like lately I've been missing my ex-husband. Like I've been missing that family feel. Like other people that have their husband and their kids, like it makes me happy for them, but it makes me hurt more for me because I miss it so much. I had it for 8 years.
Is it just you and the baby? You don't have any family or anything?
No.
Damn, that can be kind of lonely.
I have no family, I have no friends. Like I thought I met somebody. Like I've been volunteering to do stuff around the city, like for the 4th of July and stuff. And I thought I met a girl that was like, we clicked and got along, and like she is going through a divorce. She was married to a narc for 10 years, and she's going through a divorce from him. And I'm like, we have something in common. Maybe I have a friend here, or at least somebody to talk to. And we texted like one time, and then I was the last person to text. She didn't reply, and then I didn't hear from her anymore. And I'm like, well, thought I had a friend, and I guess I don't.
As we get older, it's hard to make friends, and I understand. I have the same issue with friends sometimes, and that's why I've just gotten to the point where I'm okay with being by myself. You know what I mean? And I would love to have girlfriends that could come over and hang out and stuff, but it's like, I love you guys. Y'all are my friends. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's how I help. I stay on the right path because I got y'all.
that's the only thing that's been helping me lately. Like, since I've gotten on TikTok and I found the Recovery Family, it's honestly, it's helped me. Like, it gave me the courage to want to go to the Suboxone Clinic, to speak up and finally get the courage to get on here and share my story and, you know, just admit out loud, like, yes, I am an addict, and yes, I have struggled with it. Yes, I have, you know, used a needle before. Yes, I have died from heroin. Yes, I've had a miscarriage. Yes, I'm not proud of, but I'd done drugs while I was pregnant because I was too scared to ask for help. Like, I thought if I asked for help, they were going to rip my baby from me as soon as I had him, whether I was clean or not. Just because I had admitted that I'd done something, they were going to take my baby. Like, it's gave me a lot of help, and being honest about things and talking about it and getting the help I need to heal from it.
You're doing great,
Heal
girl.
me.
You're doing good. Okay, well, I'm gonna let you go now. I'm gonna upload this to YouTube, and I'll text you when it goes up on YouTube. Okay?
All right.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Have a good night.
We love you.
Bye. Bye. Love you.
Oh, you guys, that was hard, you guys. That was really, really hard to listen to. Damn, man, that was hard to hear her talk about that. I'm going to end this live stream and upload it to YouTube, and then I'll come back on and we'll talk about it, okay?